In this video, we'll show you how to calculate percentages in your head. For example, if I want to find out what's 20% of 300, all I need to know first is what is 10% of 300. And we can do that by simply moving the decimal from one point to another. So basically moving forward one space to the left, and that equals 30. So if we know 10% of 300 is 30, all we gotta do is taking 10% plus another 10%, and that'll give you 60. And just to check your answer on that, you could simply take 300 times 0.2, and using a calculator, you will get 60. So that is your answer for this. Now let's try another question. Now we're gonna go ahead and use 25% of 500 here. Okay, so the same situation where we're basically moving the 500 equals 50. So we know that 10% is 50. So in order to reach 25%, that means I need to add another 10% and then a 5%. So I would note here that another 10% is 50, and then the 5% would be half of 50, which is 25. So here we have 125 would be the 25% of 500. And if you have a calculator, you can go ahead and calculate this and check the answer. So go ahead and input 500 times 0.25, and the answer that you get will be 125. Now, how about 15% of 200? So again, let's see what the 10% is, which in this case is 20. And the 5% would be half of 20, which is 10. By adding them together, I would get 30. And then I can do the same thing again with the calculator. So if you have a calculator, go ahead and calculate this. And I'm sure the answer that you come up with will be 30. And you can also do this for percentages that are less than 10. So here's an example. Say if I need to pay sales tax of 9% of $50. The way that we would go about it is we know the 10% of 50 is $5. Now, what is the 1%? To get the 1%, you would basically divide the 5 by 10, and that will give you 0.5. And in this case, we're minusing the 1 from the 10. So 5 minus 0.5 is 4.5. So the sales tax that you will be paid of the 9% will be $4.5 out of 50. And you can also check the answer by using a calculator. times by 0.09, and the answer will come out to 4.5. Now say you went to a restaurant and you spend $80 and you want to figure out the tip that you're gonna give, and say you want to give 15% of 80, how much would you give? Now 15% is a simple 10 plus 5%. So we can go ahead and take the 80 and figure out the 10% by moving the decimal over. So that will be 8. And the 5% would be half of that, which is 4. So 15% would be equivalent to $12. Then again, you can go ahead and take the 80 times 0.15 and calculate, put it in a calculator, and the answer that you get will be 12. This is a great way to calculate tips in your head. Now, what if you're trying to figure out a property tax of a property? Say if you live in a county that charges 1.25% of a property that's worth, say, $300,000. How would you figure this out? So far, we've been doing the 10%, and to get to the 1.25%, what we want to do is figure out what the 1% is first. And in order to do that, we take the 300,000 and we want to move that decimal 2 spaces over, and that will give you 3,000. Okay, and now that you have 3,000, you need to figure out what's the 0.25% is. So the 0.25 would be 1/4 of this. So if you take the 3,000 and divide it by 4, $3,000 divided by 4, $750. So that means that the property tax that you have to pay is $3,750. And by using a calculator, you can take 300,000 times by 0.0125, and the answer will come out the same. And here's another example. Say you're a salesperson and you make 2% commission on all sales. And say the sales that you made was a $2,000 merchandise. How much would you get? So when you have a number this small, you want to look at the 1% and then add another 1% to reach the 2%. So what we're looking for here would be 1% plus 1%. And in order to reach the 1%, we will simply take the 2,000 and move 2 spaces over, and that equals 20. So the other percent is also 20, which means that the total commission of 2% is $40 in this case. And then you would take the 2,000 if you want to calculate it with a calculator, and you would get 40 as well. So this is one way that you can calculate, say if it's this commission just in your head, before you actually made a sale, kind of knowing exactly what you're gonna get. So these are the examples of how to calculate percentages in your head using the 10% increments, the 1% increments, the 5% increments. Thank you for watching.